The Hemp Wizard signature series artists are Walking Corpse Syndrome, So High, Black Sasquatch, Fester, You can give your beard the magic touch by going to hempwizard.net today and rock out with your... Just kidding. Hemp Wizard products are proudly used by former New England Patriot. Hemp Wizard products are proudly used by former New England Patriots linebacker Brandon Spikes, Suicide Silence guitarist Mark Haleman, Canadian actor Jackson Rowe, Mr. Grimm and Noctis, the drummers of Walking Corpse Syndrome, guitarist and vocalist Bub Heaston and bassist Ted Wilson of Black Sasquatch, guitarist and vocalist Adam Hines of Fester, Aaron Witzel, guitarist of Cropsy Maniac, Roy Boy, host of the Licking County Metalheads podcast, Crash Fistfight and Maxine Maxwell, host of the Musicians Hangout podcast, Jeff Towlinski, host of the Hard Rockin' Sports Show. You too can give your beard the magic touch and treat your skin to the finest. Visit hempwizard.net today and use code 20OFF to save 20% off of your entire order.
Welcome to the Hard Rockin' Sports Studios and another edition of the weekly video recap. March 31st. Fuck! And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another edition of the live Hard Rockin' Sports Show, live from high atop Hard Rockin' Sports Studios in beautiful city of Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour, almost 3 hours, about 2 hours, weekly get-together where we bring you the biggest news from around the world of hard rock, heavy metal, of course, where I do all the sports. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the year of 2024, in the year of our good Lord. And boy, oh boy, January 4th, 2024. This show is officially entering into its 10th year. That's right, July 26th, 2014 was the very first show. I was solo at that point. Jeff didn't join in for another 3 or 4 shows as a caller, semi-regular. And we've talked about Jeff's progression through the show, and my dad was there and basically just been there about just about every show along the way as well. But we kicked into a new year, and oh boy, I'm excited. I'm tired, but I'm excited to do this. I still love getting up on a Thursday, knowing I'm going to come home to do 2 hours of talking with my boy Jeff, and amongst our guests, my dad, and all you characters who have joined the unofficial, we can't call it the Whack Pack. Welcome, Adam Hines, my man, Adam Fester Hines. Hola, my friend. Adam, who's got a 3-track mind. It's either guitars, Jennifer Aniston, or cars. Pretty much as you can look up Adam's Facebook page. I don't know about his other social media. I'm not really on any other social media. But for Facebook, if you see Adam or Fester, it's usually something to do with music, cars, or Jennifer Aniston. So Adam's got a 3-track mind, Adam. There's my man, Johnny Collins. Johnny, send me your email. Check the group chat. I need your email to send you some pics. I got the pics back from the Jam 200. There were 1,200 pictures taken. They were whittled down to 295. And I haven't seen the videos yet, but there are some videos coming, I believe. So stand by on those. But welcome Johnny Collins and everybody else to Thursday night. And another edition of Hard Rocket Sports. And again, don't forget my boys Johnny Collins, Jeff Tomwinski, on the 19th. They're dragging out the Ramoran show. That's right. The Ramorans make their first appearance of the year, I believe, at Mother Pugs with Exact and others. So do you guys a favor, and do me a favor and make sure you get down to Mother Pugs on January 19th in Staten Island on Forest Avenue, and check out Jeff and the rest of the Ramorans doing their best Ramorans show. Lots of stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to get to plenty of that. We'll talk a little New Year's Eve, how I'm getting old, and I did make it to midnight. I'll give you that much, but it wasn't pretty. Let's see. You're not getting audio? Jeff, you hear me? Yeah, I guess just you right now. Everybody else seems to be getting. Let me get. In fact, I just talked to Jeff. Let me get him on the air. Let's get the show kicked off. And only one way to do that by bringing on my buddy, my friend, and best bud on his side of the screen, Mr. Jeff Butt Cutlets Tomwinski. What's up, my man?
Not much there, Poopadoop. That's right. The butt cutlets, that is a giant term.
Oh, that's
okay.
There's our butt cutlets in there. Thank you, Frank. Yeah, but
hold on, wait. I got a bone to pick with this fucking guy, Frank Catalano.
Frank.
I said something about his post, right?
Yeah.
That he wants to get rid of Russell Wilson, supposedly. This is what I get out of it.
Okay.
And it's nice because Frank can't defend himself, so it's great.
Oh, he can write it.
No, he can't. Nobody's going to pay attention to him right now anyway. So anyway, he's saying that he would rather have Justin Fields instead of Russell Wilson.
Oh, Frank, you didn't say that, did you? Really, Frank?
I got the post right here. Let me get that.
Frank, you didn't. Come on, Frank. I know better than that. Come on. Justin Fields is a running back who lines up on the center and likes to put his hands up while they're being people's butt.
He said done. Okay, I will send a screenshot of this to you, Thomas, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Posted 3 hours ago. The Chicago Bears are reportedly looking to trade Justin Fields to the Broncos in exchange for Russell Wilson after the season concludes, per multiple sources. The plan right now is to draft Caleb Williams, or however you pronounce that name.
Caleb.
Vet like Russell Wilson mentor him. Fields just doesn't fit what they want to do anymore, said one source close to the Bears organization. Oh. What? Lose? Continue to lose? This guy sucks. I wouldn't take that. Fields.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not crazy about Russell Wilson. I think he's a douche and all that stuff, but boy, yeah.
Justin Fields wants to play football. He should go back to college.
Yeah, I'm not normally on Jeff's side on some of these things, Frankie, but this one I got to give you. If you actually wrote that, boy, oh boy.
No. He didn't write that. He posted it. It. Oh,
it's even. Just nearly as bad. Let's see.
That's what you should have said in the first place, salary dump. If you're saying a salary dump, then I could understand, because the Denver Broncos aren't going to be relevant for years because of this situation with Russell Wilson. And right. Most people know that. Why? Did you say why?
I didn't say why.
Oh, because you know that if they just cut him,
they
got to pay him like almost about $80 million.
Yeah, it's an ugly situation. I don't know how. I don't know the exact if the dollars and cents, but it can't be good.
No,
for
it's not.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Jeff, and I don't. Speaking of ugliness and craziness, I got something I need to play for you.
What's that? Okay.
Hold on.
It is I, Pepe. I am confused and lost in a sea of confusion, for I do not know whether to believe in the one they call Russell Wilson or not. Am I a Broncos fan or not? What do I do? Where do I go? I switch colors faster than some people switch their socks. Pepe has no idea what is going on right now. The war that is going on in the mind of Pepe is second to none. It is nuclear. It is powerful. I do not know what to do. 1 minute I say, Russell Wilson is my savior. The next minute I say, he is not. He is downtrodden and he is not worth my time. And then I think to myself, but you invested in this man, Pepe. You must stay with him. You must. And then I say to myself, I do not know what to do. Please, someone help me. I cannot hide behind this mask much longer. I must reveal myself. I must be true to myself and reveal the real man behind the mask. Next week, I will.
All right, now I'm confused. So last week, Pepe had a whole different look to him. He was genuflecting at the altar of Aaron Rodgers. He had sworn off Russell Wilson. What happened to Pepe this week?
You got to stay tuned till next week, man.
Well, folks, you've heard the next installment of the Adventures of Pepe. This has been going on for, about 17 weeks now. Sounds like it's coming to an end. So we had the final installment, or we think of the final installment of the Raider Report last week. So
Raider Report is done, man. We used New Year's Eve and the end of the new year to put that to sleep. We paid tribute to Dom as only we were able to.
That's true.
And, we put him to sleep forever for now.
Well, we do. We celebrated Dom, and we'll celebrate the goodbye to Pepe next week. So we'll see how it plays out. But listen, guys and ladies, we thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to another year, at least another half a year. Who knows? I go day by day anymore. But I look forward to getting to July and our big 10-year anniversary. And we got to do something. We're going to do something special outdoors. Hopefully get a lot of people to show up, and maybe there'll be some music. Maybe Jeff will drag out one of his bands, or who knows? We'll do something special around the anniversary of the show to thank not only the people who are here, but all the people behind the scenes who help us get the show on the air every week. So thanks to everybody. But let's get the show kicked off in the new year, Jeff. And that's the first thing I got to do, like I've done for 400 or 500 episodes before this. Jeff, how was your week?
Good. I was on vacation all week, man.
Yep.
So it was good. Guys, imagine a horrible Broncos. This guy is fucking. You need a fucking counselor, man.
Oh boy, I love Frankie. Frankie, glad to see you feeling better. Your prognosis over the weekend wasn't good, but we're glad to see you feeling better now. But Jeff, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's get to it. How was New Year's Eve? I think your wife was away. You were working the next day.
Well, my wife came home New Year's Eve.
Oh, good. Okay.
So she was home.
Okay.
Me and the dog, we ate. We went upstairs. We were watching TV. I don't even know what time it was that my wife came upstairs. I guess it was around 11. And we just went to bed. I don't even think we said Happy New Year to one another. We just went to sleep. And then the next day I got up and went to work.
So it was just Monday to you at that point.
You know what? It's the last couple of weeks have been a blur because I've been off on vacation. But reality is getting ready to kick me in the balls repeatedly. Coming up very, very soon. I can't go back there no more, man. It's an evil place.
I don't feel quite as strong about your place, and I'd still like to go back every day. I love the people I work for. I like the people I work with. And I get a charge out of the adrenaline of doing what I do every day, but I'd be just as happy sitting on the couch with doing this 3 or 4 days a week. So I wish I could, but and in the meantime, we have to do this. My New Year's Eve, Jeff, to be honest with you, was very low key. We had the big wedding on Saturday night. Our dear friend Joe Gansis got married.
Yes,
it was a really good time. We had a great wedding. We had a good table with Jeff was sitting there with my wife and his brother and his lovely wife, and Jeff's parents joined us at that table, which was a treat. And of course, Paul Gill and his wife Julia.
So I want to address Johnny Collins. I could retire, John, and then I would take a 21% hit on my pension. So if you want to subsidize that missing 21%, I'll go tomorrow. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But you have to, legally get some papers drawn up and saying that you'll give me the 21% that I'm missing for the remainder of my life. If not, shut the fuck up, sit back, and crack a few jokes here and there.
But we had a great time at the wedding. Didn't get home too late. Got to bed a little late, but didn't get home too late. But we had a great time, and we wish Joey and Rachel a wonderful union and a future together. We hope we're part of, and we look forward to many more events with the whole crowd.
Oh, you couldn't make it in 8 minutes there, Adam Harness. That's bad.
Yeah, I dozed a couple of times during the night, but I was officially up at 12 o'clock. Made it till about 12:30, and I just couldn't stay up anymore. So, but I did make it up. I was watching multiple things. I watched a couple of TV shows. I got into watching the CBS actually had a Country New Year, which was pretty cool. Which was, I think, culminated with Skinner being on around midnight. So it was actually pretty cool. So I watched the Country New Year with on CBS, a little bit of the Fox New Year.
So the Country New Year thing that had Leonard Skinner on, that was the world's greatest Leonard Skinner tribute band, you're saying, right?
Well, it's funny. I segued into that because I have a topic tonight about this. It was from Nashville. Jason, I'm sorry to hear that. Yes, and Johnny was from Nashville. And it looked like a blast. They had a good time. The bands were good. I did see Trace Atkins, who I'm a fan of.
That's right.
Yes.
Collins.
So here's the thing. So I want to get my dad on quick, but let me get into this a little bit right now since Johnny's embedded himself into this one so far. Leonard Skinner has been running around for 50 years without pretty much an original member. At this point, don't you think that most people just accept that this is actually Leonard Skinner, even though we all know the story, Jeff? I mean, at some point, does the band become the band, even though they're not really the original band?
Well, real quick, I believe Ricky Medlock and John Collins could fill in the blanks on this one. I believe Ricky Medlock was actually one of the original members of Leonard Skinner.
I think as a drummer, wasn't it? As a drummer, though.
He was the original drummer. And then he left to form Blackfoot, and then he came back.
Correct, as a guitar player.
As far as the original members on album, none of them are left.
Right.
But the thing is with Leonard Skinner, and I know Frank is here and John and you, let's see what you guys think about this. They're still out there calling Leonard Skinner, and nobody has a problem.
Nobody
being Leonard Skinner at this point in time. Yeah. But yet people give shit to Kiss for wanting to continue in some other way.
Well, that's the point. Yeah,
without an original member, if they so chose to send guys out with makeup on and got a replacements for Gene and Paul.
Well, let me ask.
Now the original Kiss makeup as a band.
Yeah,
different people. But
I got you.
Still would say that it's Kiss.
But let me ask you this question. So it's 50 years later, and they're still running around with some sort of lineup that is called Leonard Skinner. People by the millions go and see them every time they go out there and play. 50 years from now, if there was a four-man band who was Kiss, quote unquote, do you think that they would be accepted as Kiss at that point? I mean, I think they'd have to at some point.
I'm just bringing it up because people still accept Leonard Skinner as Leonard Skinner when there is a wave of replacements in that band that I don't know. I know the singer was replaced his brother, so he's been there. Yeah, and you're right. He's probably been there for more than 30 years, Frank. Probably closer to 40 years from the accident.
Yeah.
And it's John Collins. As far as Pantera goes, I'm against that completely. But at least there's two original members in the band. You know what I mean?
But I mean, if at some point 4 guys were in Pantera, I mean, it doesn't matter who. There were 4 guys legally allowed to run around calling themselves Pantera, playing Pantera band music, and people went to see it. Is it okay?
Well,
you know what I mean? I get your point, Jeff. I mean, to me, Quiet Riot's running around. I don't think, Rudy, I guess closest to an original member is Rudy Sarzo, But I mean, that band has had nobody, and it's still out there touring and playing, and people are accepting that because there's a band called Quiet Riot playing Quiet Riot music, maybe playing it well. I don't know.
But with Quiet Riot, that's not bothering me, John. I couldn't give a fuck less about the Pantera thing. I'm totally against it. As far as Quiet Riot goes, they're playing clubs at best.
I got you. Maybe they're getting 50 people a night, but 50
Lynyrd Skynyrd plays stadium tours.
Jeff, I'm giving you the both ends of the spectrum on it. I got you. Lynyrd Skynyrd is
nobody ever says anything about Skynyrd doing it.
No, Lynyrd Skynyrd may be the most glorified tribute band in history. I mean, if you look at it, there's not an original member. There's guys who've been in it before, in and out of there. Johnny Van Zant's running around in there with the last name, the whole bit. But people today, if you say Lynyrd Skynyrd's playing, I've never heard anybody say that ain't really Lynyrd Skynyrd. I've never heard it.
No, nobody's ever says anything.
Yeah. So
that band was destroyed via tragedy. Also,
correct.
Maybe they get a little leeway of that.
Maybe get the sympathy vote on that one. Maybe
they also replaced the singer with somebody who's going to be as close to looking like him and sounding like him. Matter of fact, has the same name.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot there. And John, I don't know what Verizon is. That's just silly. I don't know if you're inhaling some fucking oils from the.
I think John's got some glue working in there somewhere. But listen, I have problems with it personally. There's things I don't like about stuff like that. But I say the same thing. If there's a key member still left, I'm okay with it. I mean, look at Queensryche, Jeff, at this point. I mean, who is really left? Michael Wilton, I think, is the last guy left in Queensryche. And they're still running around playing, again, Starland Ballroom, but they're still playing and thousands of people are showing up. And, at what point, if Michael Wilton left and Todd La Torre brought in a different guitar player, can we still call it Queensryche? And is that a problem?
There's nobody left in Queensryche now? Isn't Eddie Jackson still in there?
You might be right. It might be Eddie Jackson and him. I know the drummer's gone, guitar player's gone, the singer's gone. I think you're right. Eddie Jackson, Michael Wilton are still the two members. But I'm just saying, at some point, if a band continues on for it, look at Florida. Is there any? I mean, one guy left, if that, and they're still touring.
Foreigner, didn't they kind of split in half? And wasn't there like two versions of Foreigner going on at one time?
I agree. I think the big thing, and I'm going to get my dad on right now. I got you. I think the big thing is, there are some bands, Jeff, that don't really have a face to it. Like hardcore people know. I mean, but there are a lot of bands that people just don't know the entire band all the band members. And they'll just show up to hear the music played by whoever's in the band. So. Again, I think Lynyrd Skynyrd's on the one end of the spectrum of they've been counted on as the Lynyrd Skynyrd, regardless of it all. That might be the extreme end of that one.
Maybe.
All right, let's get my dad on, and we'll come back to talk some more music. We got a lot to talk about. Talk about Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel. We got some Ted Nugent stuff, Elvis on the AI. We'll talk about David Tepper, the owner of the the Charlotte Panthers, the Carolina Panthers, excuse me. We'll talk a little NFL football. We got the Jets. We got Giants. We got Happy New Year. Welcome back to Hard Rocket Sports. But let's get my dad on. He's on every week, and we love when he does call in. What's up, Bob?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up,
hey, Jeff?
What's going on? Happy New Year to you.
Same to you and your family.
Same
here. Yeah, listen. Tell me what you guys are talking about. Been going on for years. You can sit there for a half hour and talk about groups from the 50s or the 60s that do not have an original member at all, and they still go around.
Yeah, I mean, the Temptations. When was the last time the Temptations had a legitimate singer or a legitimate member from the original band? I mean, it's got to go back to the 70s.
David Ruffin. You could go to the Duprees. I mean, you could see it all day. And you can't change anything.
Hey, Bob, let me ask you: did you ever go see one of those bands that didn't have an original member left in all the times with those concerts?
Yes.
Okay. Did it bother you that you showed up, whoever it was, the Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, any of those bands you went to go see, did any of those bands that you went to see that didn't have an original member, did it bother you that you were seeing 4 different peoples or 5 different people or whoever it was?
No, because believe it or not, years ago when they played, let's say the old doo-wop, even before they would doo-wop, what they would do is they would interchange people all the time.
Right.
So there was never really a band that stayed together. They would interchange each other. But no, the only way I would get upset is if they were trying to tell me this is all original.
Right.
And I
so
found
if you
out that they weren't. Now,
right.
now you got me a little upset. But
right.
other
but
than that,
if you went there knowing that there were 4 guys showing up singing a certain band's songs, even though they weren't in the original band, if you went to see the Temptations and it was just 4 guys singing Temptation songs, you're okay with it as long as it's as good as what the Temptations.
Well, I know they're not the real Temptations. I mean, today it's a little different than it was back then. But yeah, as long as they didn't try to tell me they were the original, because they'd have to be in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, now Johnny Collins, you couldn't do Vito and the Elegance because Vito and the Elegance is Vito Picone. I mean, you just, if you want to tell me it's the Elegance or it's Johnny Smith and the Elegance doing Vito Picone and the Elegance, I can live with that. That's, I'll choose to go, I choose not to go. But you can't say, come see Vito and the Elegance, and you show up and it's not Vito Picone, it's Vito Laryngitis showed up. It's got to be the guy, Yeah, so I was just curious how you would take
things though, Tom, with a lot of those doo-wop bands, because there was the original 4 that might have been singing on a doorstep somewhere in Brooklyn in the early 50s. By the time they went and recorded something, they changed a few members. So they turned down, they may say, the original members that started the band versus the members that were actually on record. It doesn't change the fact that it's not the original members, though.
I always say it's the guys who made the albums. It's the same thing with Iron Maiden, Jeff. If you go back to 1975, December of 75, and that very first band that Steve Harris put together, I mean, a couple of those guys made it to the first album, and most of them never made it to the second album. No. So to me, the real Iron Maiden becomes the guys who did the first band. The same thing as Vito Picone and the Elegance or the Temptations. It's the guys who made it onto the albums. Those are the original members because that's where it starts. Nobody cares what you're playing in the hallways. In Bed-Stuyvesant.
No, I hear you.
So yeah, but I agree. I understand your point. Yes. So I agree.
Go ahead, Tom.
No, go ahead, Bob. I was going to say, what else you got?
No, and I was listening this week to Aaron Rodgers, and I think that was a little babyish. Rodgers is starting. I thought this was going to happen. Eventually, he's starting to represent the Jets. He's going to wind up making the decisions on who they draft.
I think that's already happened. I think that's already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe Jeff will disagree with this, but I think just by his mere presence, he's cast a huge shadow over this entire organization because any offseason move the Jets were going to make, just from a coaching standpoint, has been probably knocked down. Maybe he didn't say it specifically, but you're not telling me that Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, or Nathaniel Hackett are still here if Aaron Rodgers isn't the quarterback of his team next year, Jeff.
I agree, but I also think that a lot of this is smoke and mirrors. This way it takes away from what happened this year, and there's people that are going to think that he is a savior. You understand this?
No, I got it.
What he says is going to be for the better of the team. You better listen to him. The guy's a 4-time MVP. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows what he's doing. He's been in this league 1,000 years. There's going to be plenty of people that are going to say that and think that way.
Agreed. And that's fine as long as they do well next year. If they shit the bed next year.
He didn't do anything this year to have the right to say something. The guy has one Super Bowl. Okay. So does Trent Dilfer.
Yep.
Okay. So does Jared Goff. Does that mean that these people are going to the Hall of Fame?
I agree.
you can't compare Aaron Rodgers to those two guys, but it's not like he was Tom Brady and was winning the Super Bowl every year. You know, this guy had a couple good runs, yes, but I mean, come on, you got to be fucking kidding me.
I agree. The problem is you've put all the eggs in the basket. And Johnny Collins, have a great time down at AC. Frankie, I'll get that question to my dad after we finish this. But the problem I have is, if you don't dress this pig up next year, take it to market and sell it to a Super Bowl win, you've set your franchise back years, because now after next year, if this falls apart next year for whatever reason,
how did they set it back? Explain to me how they set it back.
Well, because here's why, Jeff. So instead of building on next year or building off of this year, right? You didn't draft a quarterback this year because you said, I got Aaron Rodgers and I'm going to play.
I'll already tell you how you're wrong.
Why?
Okay, before you go any further, save your time. They didn't give up a number 1 draft pick. Okay. So when Aaron Rodgers, whether they drafted a quarterback this year or whatever, it's just another year. It doesn't matter. Okay. They didn't get rid of a number 1 pick. That's one thing. Thank God. Okay. Right. So it's not going to set them back too far. You can't go any further back than you already are. You already hit the wall. You can't go any further back. You lose your quarterback after 4 plays in the season. That's it. You've hit the bottom of the barrel. You can't.
I got you. I got you. But think about this, Chef. Here's why. Because you're one more year toward guys like Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner getting to their max money, 4-year contracts, 50-year contracts.
Right. But these are guys that are entering their 3rd year.
No, I get it. But I'm saying this. So but think about this. Right. But think about this, Jeff. Let's say next year fails. Now they're entering their 4th year.
It's going to fail.
Okay. So let's say you're right. You're entering your 4th year now with those guys. They're under contract. You're not paying a ton of money. Now it blows up next year. Let's say you're right. It blows up.
Oh, now, right. Don't you worry about
that. Now you're changing coaches. Your draft picks are changing. And now you think you're going to start to fix this thing. And your 2 best players are now going to be on the market for huge money. Now, can you afford both of them? A real quarterback, fixing your left tackle. These are things that you needed to win this year and next year with Rodgers to kind of go, okay, now we can kind of, roll the dice, draft a quarterback, let him sit. And they didn't do any of that. That's why I say the Rodgers thing is great, but it's put the kibosh on, can the Jets fix themselves? Like if they go into this offseason drafting number 1 and take a quarterback instead of a left tackle or another game-changing receiver, you think Rodgers is going to be a happy camper?
They're not going to take a quarterback.
I'm not saying they are. I'm saying this, but to a certain extent, shouldn't they? Aaron Rodgers is going to be 41 next year.
No, listen, first of all, if you have Aaron Rodgers on your team and you think that he's going to give you any kind of a shot at winning anything, whether it's a playoff game or whatever, you have to take pieces to build around him. So even if they take a left tackle this year at the 1st pick, you're still filling a need that's going to be going for years forward.
I agree with you.
I myself would not draft a quarterback past the 2nd or 3rd round. All right, because
I agree with you.
Very rarely do you ever see a quarterback drafted that late into the draft ever hit and become a star in this league.
I agree.
Okay, and not for nothing, how many 1st round picks?
I agree.
That don't make.
But you have a better chance of that happening. Listen,
without a doubt.
If the Jets use an early pick, 1st, 2nd round pick, and I don't think they have a 2nd round because that's what they gave up for.
I don't think they got a 2nd round this year. No.
Yeah. Before we forget, they Dad, Frankie Catalano wants to know, did you like the Mets signing Harrison Bader? The Yankees center fielder. Do you think that made any difference with that team? That guy's always been hurt.
No,
he's a heck of a player, but he's always hurt.
But that's the problem. I mean, you could have Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio playing, but if they're constantly hurt, what good did it do you? And what he bet 220, 230 something.
I like the guy, and he had a great playoff the year before, hitting home runs, getting on base, and it's great having him. He's a New York kid, so I think that's fantastic. I think he's a great outfielder. The problem is the way he plays the game. Maybe he's too reckless. I don't know the answer. Maybe whatever he's injury prone. But I like Bader, but I don't think it made you guys any better. That's to me. It's not. I'm sure my dad feels the same.
I don't think, and I agree with what Jeff said. And I don't think they're going to draft the quarterback. He's not going to allow it. Okay, and I got to be honest with you. If he plays next year, or this year, you want to call it, I'd be very shocked. He's 40-something years old. He hasn't played in almost 2 years, and he's not a Brady where they set up a pocket for him and he can stand there and throw that ball. He's got to run with that ball, and a lot of players do not like him because of everything that's going on.
He has a lot of controversy.
First of all, there is no pocket in
Thank
New York.
you.
There is none. There's a pocket on my pants. That's it. That's the closest they're coming to a pocket over there.
I agree with you. I agree, Jeff.
After tearing his Achilles, he better hope that it heals right. Because you're right. The one thing I have noticed about him, when he came in and he was nice and quiet, everybody fell in love with him. Okay, he's here. He's saying the right things. He's hanging out with his teammates. He's doing this. He's doing that. Then all of a sudden, he's starting to get into these stupid ass fucking comments going back and forth. He was just with was it Jimmy Kimmel? He was
Jimmy Kimmel, yeah.
Well, he's fighting with Kimmel right now because
what a retard! Why are you even opening your mouth?
Well, I think this is the problem that I was going to bring this up, and we're going to have this conversation. Let's have it. Aaron Rodgers at some point has put himself out. And again, as the face of the franchise, and now he's in a war in this war of words with Jimmy Kimmel, accusing Jimmy Kimmel of being on the Jeffrey Epstein pedophile list. Now, Jimmy Kimmel may be on there, and I don't like Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's a douche and a woke hypocrite. So, Jimmy Kimmel is fine saying stuff about people, but when it comes back at him, but there you go, Ted. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, Jeff, and you're the face of the Jets franchise, I think you got to be a little clearer and maybe use a little bit of brain power to say maybe I shouldn't accuse some guy high profile of being possibly a pedophile without having some real proof.
I got to say this one thing, please. And then if I have to get up, I got to get up until this conversation's over. As far as that stupid ass list goes with all the celebrities and everything else, Bill Clinton was on it. Donald Trump was on it.
Right.
A few other high profile
celebrities.
Michael Jackson, and there was somebody else. It was like an afterthought in the paper. Nobody's talking about it. I was just downstairs watching the news. Nobody mentioned it. Nobody anything. You know what that list, you could do with that list? Wipe your ass with that list. Aaron Rodgers should not be opening his mouth about anything political. Sit there, rehab your fucking ankle, get back on the fucking field and play. That's it. These guys should shut their mouths. Don't say anything about anything you shouldn't be talking about. Okay? This whole list, we waited how many years for this list to come out? It came out like a fart in the breeze.
Who cares? Who cares?
Never mind who cares. Nothing's going to happen. There's pictures with Epstein. There's pictures of Trump with Epstein.
Oh, Prince Andrew.
This guy was banging underage chicks, and they were taking their pictures of him. I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong, but you can't tell me those guys didn't know the position that he was in, and they were there anyway. That's it. No problem.
Who
cares?
That's
right. But again, whether anybody put stock in the Jeffrey Epstein thing and the possible frames and whether he was extorting people and secret tapes, I have no idea. And to your point, Jeff, I could care less because you know what? At the end of the day, nothing's going to happen to anybody.
Exactly.
But if you're Aaron Rodgers and you want to go on the McAfee show, which again, I don't understand the whole Pat McAfee thing. I think he's obnoxious. I think he's a blowhard. He's a grown man who can't wear sleeves on his shirt. I mean, guy has a hockey jersey on and cut the sleeves off. So,
because assholes conduct assholes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, if you want to go on that show, what I think Rodgers is trying to do, guys, is create a broader national image for himself. There's a guy who obviously 2 years ago wanted to be the host of Jeopardy. He wanted to have his own talk show. And I think that's what he's shooting for when his career's over. And I think the national exposure is what he's craving right now. So he's trying to make that crossover like Michael Strahan did, like some other guys are doing. And it's falling flat because he is obnoxiously sarcastic in the sense the guy thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. No matter what happens,
Right.
he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
Look at Michael Strahan. He comes on TV. He conducts himself. He comes off as a friendly guy. Maybe he's a wife beater. Maybe he beats his kids at home, kicks the dog. We don't know. But he certainly seems like a nice guy on TV. What's Aaron Rodgers Avenue? What is it, political? Is it game shows? Is it going to be morning? Is it going to be the next Jerry Springer? What's it going to be?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the problem is he's not out there trying to cultivate an image of I'm a bright guy, I'm well-rounded, I got a great sense of humor. It's I'm going to say a lot of stupid stuff, and I'm going to contradict myself all the time, and I'm going to be sarcastic and arrogant and try to tell you I'm better than you and I'm smarter than you. So you're right. I don't get the image, and whoever's working with him on his image.
That's just it. I don't think anybody's working with him on his image. If I was trying to do something, Tom, I was trying to do something, of course, I would want you there. Wouldn't you turn around and say, listen, I don't know if you should say that. I wouldn't do this.
Yeah, of course.
You're over there. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you try to guide me a certain way?
Well, then again, if you're trying to be the next Howard Stern and take that lane, then he's on the right path. If you look at me again,
not a Howard Stern.
I'm got you. I'm just saying, if you're going for, I want to be the next game show host / today a host of the Today Show. Well, you're going in the wrong direction here. Those guys are completely different. So I don't know where he's trying to get. I think he's trying to broaden his national exposure, and I don't think he knows how to do it. But if you're the Jets, Jeff, and you're Woody and you're Woody Johnson, do you not call up Aaron Rodgers and say, hey, dude, you got to tone it down a bit? You can't be accusing.
No, you know what?
You think this is good for Woody Johnson and the Jets?
No, not at all, because they're afraid of him. They're afraid of him. And Frank Catalano
just said it,
throw the ball 3 years ago. We don't know if he's going to be able to throw the ball next year.
Right.
Okay. So we don't know.
In 2 years. He hasn't played in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. He goes out on that field. He gets one good block. He's going down.
Last year, he was bad.
Get him.
The year before was the last year he won his MVP, I believe. That was the last year that he played well. So by the time he gets to 2024, it'll be 3 seasons removed from his last really good season.
Yeah. Listen, I agree.
He'll still be better than any Jet quarterback they've ever had.
It's true. But it's the corner the Jets have backed themselves into with Rodgers by keeping Zach Wilson on the team this year, not getting themselves a suitable backup, either a younger quarterback in the draft last year or from around the league, and developing somebody. And now they're stuck with a guy who may or may not be able to play as per Jeff and my dad, and a guy who realistically has got to be embarrassing the team, embarrassing the franchise. It's got to be.
Woody Johnson's too stupid to know that his franchise is being embarrassed. 13 years without getting in the playoffs is enough embarrassment for anybody. That's one thing. Okay. Second of all, I know that you brought it up real quick. Joe Flacco. Everybody's like, oh, why didn't? Because I'm on a lot of different Jet pages on Facebook. Why didn't the Jets sign Flacco? Why didn't they keep Flacco? Why didn't they this? Why did Joe Flacco stay 3/4 of the season on his couch waiting for somebody to call?
Because he looked like shit playing for the Jets last year.
Exactly. So nobody had a chance on him. Okay, so there's a guy that the Jets could have kept, but didn't.
Yeah, there's nobody ever, and not one football fan, not one person, sports radio, newspaper last year said at the end of last season said that team should sign Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco looked like he was done, baked, and buried at the end of last season. Now, is it the Jets' fault because he had no offensive line, a terrible game plan?
A lot to do with it.
Was it so? Did Joe Flacco find the fountain youth in the offseason? I don't know. I would say this: if you want to put in anything, it's putting a very bad light on Robert Saleh and Nate Hackett as a coach and offensive coordinator. That they had a guy who looks like this now last year and couldn't make him into even a quarter of what he is right now.
But Tommy, take the greatest jockey in the world and put him on a milk horse, he's not going to win the Kentucky Derby. And I'm not saying that's, but
I agree with
Flacco's, I agree. Flacco plays garbage for them. But I mean, you put no line in front. He ain't got no line now. They got
I
no
agree with
line
you.
now.
It's
They
a
got
detriment.
nothing in front of them. They got
Yeah.
nothing behind them. And you expect to get Brady back and put Brady there, he'll wind up with a concussion.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I agree with you, Jeff. I don't buy into the people who run around saying,
100%
why
right.
did they sign Flacco? It's that makes no sense.
Tom, you yourself have said it, and more than one other person, I've read it, more than one other person has said it, that they're predicting the Browns
Yeah.
make noise in the playoffs.
I fully watching that defense and the way he's playing right now, I would be very nervous the way that team's playing right now.
Okay, so right now, as it stands, the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, would have to win 5 more games straight. Sunday's finale,
Right.
plus
Yep.
another 4 games in the playoffs
Yep.
to even become Super Bowl champions, which I don't, it's a tall order. I don't see it happening. But I'm going to tell you this much. Could you imagine the Lions versus the Browns in the Super Bowl this year? Oh, my God. Oh,
Yeah.
my, I don't even want to think about it. And oh, my
All
God.
right,
But to be honest,
I'm gonna let you guys go, Tommy.
Yeah, Dad. I'll talk to you over the weekend.
I'll see you over the weekend. Take care, Jeff. Take
Be
care,
good,
buddy.
Mr. Figueroa.
That's my daddy checks in with us every week, and it was a good appearance this week for Daddy. He nailed a couple things right there. Jeff, I agree with you, but I'll say this: the matchup on paper, or talking out loud, the Browns and the Lions. I can tell you the truth. Both those teams are playing really well. I would look forward to one. It's 2 teams who've never been in a Super Bowl before.
I know, Tom, but
It's the stigma. It's the stigma of the helmets.
I watched John Marheca, a friend of ours, sent us a message, as you saw.
Yep.
And it was the first time that I saw the pass interference play that was called, that was taken away from Detroit.
Yep.
Okay, first of all, that was a borderline mugging.
Yes.
Okay, the guy had no idea the football was coming his way. His back was turned to the play the whole entire time. Okay,
Yep.
He must have been reading the guy's face. When the guy looked up, he just put his hands up and he went like this in the guy's face, holding on to his jersey and bumping into him. And then they took the flag and picked the flag up. My God, how did they not lynch those guys in the parking lot after the game? There must have been a secret tunnel. Those guys, they were just like, you guys down here now. Let's go. And they went 10 stories underground.
They wore Groucho noses and mustaches out the door.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
They were on the other side of the fucking Lake Erie or something by the time they came back.
And as bad as all that was, the way the Cowboys won that game last week with the tackle eligible, and the referee screwed that up. I mean, again, there's a lot of friends of ours, if Matt Salitri, who want to talk about conspiracy theories and all that stuff. And I don't usually fall for it, but I got to tell you, when you see someone who calls in these games, you go, Jesus Christ, man, the NFL just wants the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
Listen, it's all about money. We know it's all about
Absolutely,
money.
yes.
We know that it's a money-driven league. They don't want certain teams. Everything is a storyline. They want a storyline. Okay.
Yep. Sure.
If they were to turn around and they would to say that they got the Cowboys in there, all right, Cowboys 49ers as the NFC championship game, that's big money.
Sure.
Do they want just the 49ers, not the 49ers, I'm sorry, do they want the Cowboys Dolphins, or do they want the Cowboys Chiefs? Because I can't see any other AFC team that they're going to want in there. I don't see any. Matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, there's only 2 teams in the playoffs for the AFC right now, and that's the Dolphins and the Chiefs. I don't think anybody else even exists at this point.
Well, no, you got to put the Ravens in there. Ravens are number 1 seed right now.
Yeah,
I don't believe in them. I don't believe in them, but the number 1 seed.
Is that going to be a money? I'm talking a money-driven game, Tom.
Oh, okay, all right.
Money-driven game.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean, if you were going to put it on paper right now with the teams that are in it, I would agree. 49ers, Cowboys, and Dolphins, Chiefs would be the 2 biggest games you could get right now.
Definitely. And that's why they got the Broncos out of there as soon as possible. Because these guys will be cleaning the fucking stadium the day after the Super Bowl, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think looking at it, I don't believe in the Chiefs. I don't believe in the Eagles or the Rams. I think the Lions have an outside chance. I think the Lions are as good as anybody, and they got a chip on their shoulder right now.
I read. That's right. He can say whatever he wants. Listen, he can say whatever he wants.
I love Frankie. Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
It comes down to money and everything else.
Sure.
That's it. Half those other teams in the AFC, they're not going to be generators of money. They're not.
No. I agree with you.
Imagine Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, and Taylor Swift versus the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
Oh, it'd be huge. Oh my God, it'd be huge.
Beyond huge.
Oh,
It'd be beyond huge.
Yeah.
Imagine
No, you're right.
Taylor Swift drank a Diet Coke during the fucking game. Oh my God.
What would be the ultimate Super Bowl game this year? These teams that are involved, right? I can read them out to you. I can put them on the screen if you want. What would be the ultimate Super Bowl game for the NFL? Is it Chiefs Cowboys? Is that the ultimate Cowboy? The ultimate game?
Chiefs Cowboys, maybe Ravens Cowboys, but somebody Cowboys. I think the Cowboys. Not for nothing, they played a lot of great games this year. They seem like a really good team this year. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to beat anybody. I think that San Francisco would be the best possibility out of the NFC. Mm-hmm. I would love to see the Lions get in there. I really would.
Yeah, me too. I would, to be honest with you, I would love to see Dolphins Lions. I think to me that would be a fun matchup. The Dolphins haven't been there in 40 years. The Lions have never been there. I mean, you can go Browns and Lions. I mean, that's two teams who've never been there. But I don't think that's realistic. But I do believe that the Lions have an outside chance of winning. I think they got a good defense. They play well enough offense. Goff's got to play a little bit better, or a lot better. But that's an interesting one. If you ask me today, I would probably see the Dolphins are too hurt. That's the problem. They're missing, I think, 9 guys. 6 of them are like prime starters. So I think at this point, you got to go Ravens 49ers, but it would not shock me to see the Ravens get knocked off. The Bills could still sneak up there. They're at number 6 right now. They got to win this week, which I think they will beat the Dolphins. That should be a great football game. It's going to be a really good week, a couple weeks for football. You got this week with some big games, and then the first round, you have the wild card round the following week, which we might all be getting together to watch a game that weekend if we can get a few people together. I mentioned that at the wedding, but it's interesting. But right now, if you ask me, I would love to see Lions Dolphins in the Super Bowl. I think that would be a fun Super Bowl for me.
When?
He's got a one track.
Frank, what is your address? I want to send you a few pizzas.
Oh, I love Frankie. He's the best. At Hard Rocket Sports, that's Jeff and I'm Tom. We're every Thursday night. We're talking a little bit of sports. I want to get to some Ted Nugent in a few minutes. I got a little bit. Here's a big thing about this weekend, Jeff. Before I forget, do you realize that this could be? You got to use the facilities, or
no? I got my dog. Give me 2 seconds. My dog is on the bed, and deal with her with no eyes.
No, go.
I got to block her in with pillows like bumpers so she doesn't roll off.
Go ahead, go take care of it.
I'll be right back.
Go ahead. Remind me to talk Jets Patriots. All right, guys. So, Frankie, to talk a little about your Mets, I'm a little disappointed in this offseason so far. Listen, I like Bader. I think he's a solid acquisition. So I'm not against the Bader move. If he stays healthy, I think he's a solid 240 hitter, plays great defense. I think the question is going to be playing there. I still say, where is the pitching coming from for the Mets? That's the question that I have a big problem is. You still have to shore up the bullpen. All right. You get Diaz back. Let's hope the Diaz is the Diaz of 2 years ago, not the Diaz of 3 years ago. So let's hope for that. Let's assume that that's the case. But to be honest with you, where's the starting pitcher coming from? I mean, they're talking about this 30-year-old free agent pitcher out of Japan as a possibility. They're talking about maybe getting Blake Snell. Blake Snell's going to turn into the next Scherzer or what's his name? My God, whatever. One of those two morons. Or Jordan Montgomery, who I like. Jordan Montgomery is a solid number 3. The Mets are right now going in with a guy, probably Senga, as the number 1. Yeah, Frank, I agree with you. What I would hope is, and again, it's still a big hope because you don't have a choice, is that guys like McNeil and Alonso and even Lindor, kind of captured 2 years ago. You got to hope that the lineup comes right back. It's still got some questions at third base. You still got some questions at catcher. But I think your biggest problem is who's pitching. And you're in a division. Yeah, I know Snell's linked to the Yankees, but so is Yamamoto. So I'm not buying into that one yet. And if you're the Mets, I think you got to overpay for a guy like that. I think you're gonna have to overpay for either Snell or Montgomery to get yourself some quality. So I there's a lot of questions right now with the Mets and DH. I don't know. There's some bodies out there, but Jeff, to get back to what you were talking about, what I was about to ask you is, this could be the very last game for Bill Belichick as the head coach of the New England Patriots, and it's versus his arch enemy, the New York Football Jets.
Listen, I don't believe that it's his game up there. How do you get rid of him?
I don't know. Here's the problem, though. If you're Robert Kraft, and there's already been two coaches linked to the Patriot job, and it's not even open yet. Brian Flores, the guy who was trying to sue everybody for racial discrimination, and what's his name? Josh McDaniels is actually being talked about. Yeah, he's a guy who, failed at 2 jobs already.
Right.
And there's been some conversations already about other coaches who are linked. The problem with Belichick, if he would take the step backwards and say, I'll just coach and let them hire a certified GM, I think he would stay, or they would keep him there. But I think he won't give up the power. I think wherever he goes, he's got to have full power. And while I'm a huge Belichick fan as a coach, he has not done a great job the last few years, and I think it's time to turn that over. So my question, though, is, would you be excited for a game like this? I mean, you have the opportunity to beat Belichick at home, break the streak. He's been killing the Jets, send him out with a loss. I mean, is this a huge game in Jetland?
Well, how about this? Okay. The Jets could send Belichick out with a loss.
Yep.
And push themselves further down the line of a draft pick.
Correct.
God knows how many spaces, actually, by the time it's done. Okay. And then you got to ask yourself, the question is, does Belichick really give a shit? Does Belichick care if the Jets were to be the last team he faced as coach of the New England Patriots and lost? Bill Belichick has won more games against the Jets that even if he goes to someplace else, it doesn't matter. They'll never come up to 500 against them. There's so many games behind the Patriots and everything that the Patriots did. The Patriots will go through 10 coaches before the Jets ever catch up to what they did. It means nothing. If the Jets were smart, you know what they would do? They'd go out there and they'd be like this. We're going to play hard this week and then fucking try to lose 35-0 and be like, oh, well, here's the thing. Too many guys on the Jets aren't going to be there next year. So they're going to go out there and they're going to play as hard as a motherfucker could play.
Sure.
Because they're all going to be looking for jobs next year. Mm-hmm. So unless they want to be pushing carts in the Pathmark parking lot in a Sunday afternoon, they're going to go out there and play as hard as they can. You still have a bunch of guys on the New England side that want to play hard too. But I don't think anybody gives a fuck about New England, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I again, I don't know. I
think they're done. I think a lot of people on that team are done.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. I don't know what the thought process is in the building. Is the process in the building? This could be Bill's last game. We're sending him out with a win versus the Jets. Let's play hard and go get it. Is it who gives a shit? Bill's a jerk off and he's not going to be here next year anyway. So what do I care? I don't know the answer to that. I think Belichick wants to win every game that he can. I think playing the Jets has always been a motivating factor. I still don't know why he hates the Jets as much as he does. I remember the history of him being there, and didn't seem like it was anything negative toward him. He was offered the job as head coach when Bill left. I mean, so to me, I just never understood why he hated the Jets. Maybe because he was a Giant before that, and I have no idea, but I would tell you that I think this is a game to keep an eye on, not because it's going to be a great football game. I would just like to see how this game works its way out, and at the end of the game, what it looks like, for Belichick and and then we'll see afterwards what happens. We won't find out for a month or so whether he's coming back. I would doubt it. They'd even announce it.
I hope that the game ends up being like 9-6 with about 80 yards of combined offense between the two teams, and not because the defenses were on fire, but because the offenses couldn't get out of their own way. That would be great. And then, listen, it could end up in a tie for all I care. I couldn't care less. I
get it. And at this point, it's meaningless. It's not like the Patriots were going for like a division title or they were trying to make it to the playoffs. And you guys had a chance to knock Bill out on his way out the door. Then I think that would be, a little bit bigger. But at this point, it's just a matter of where he coaches next year. That guy's going to coach pretty much anywhere he wants that's available. Whether it's San Diego, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Washington, there are a bunch of jobs that could be open and available right now for that guy. So
I'd like to see him go to
where?
You know where?
No, he's not going to the Giants.
I would love to see him go to the Giants and continue to fall flat on his face.
Well, first off, he's not going to the Giants. We have our coach.
Listen, that guy there.
We have our coach. So I hope he doesn't go to Washington. That's the one place. If I could call Bill Belichick on the phone and say, Bill, with a couple Jersey guys, I want to make sure you're taking care of.
You're a Jersey guy now?
I'm a Jersey guy. I live in Jersey.
No. You're a transplant.
That's true.
You're a transplant.
I would say, Bill. But right now, for the conversation, I gotta say, Bill.
Next thing you know, you're gonna go you're gonna go Satriali's and go get some salami. Get the fuck out of here.
I would call him up and say, Bill, a couple Jersey guys, we listen to Bon Jovi. Do me a favor. Don't go to Washington. They changed their names. No way. Go to Los Angeles, play for coach the Chargers. You got a number one, you got a big time quarterback there. Bring a good coach in there. Bring Josh McDaniels back as your OC and go win a Super Bowl there and plant your flag and call it a career. That's what I tell him.
Yeah, because he won so many fucking Super Bowls once Tom Brady left.
Well, listen, I agree with you. I think it's hurt the legacy a little bit. He's still the best coach of this generation. There's no doubt. I don't care who the quarterback was and who wasn't the quarterback.
You can't take that away from him. He is the best coach of his generation. But
absolutely,
there's always a but.
Absolutely.
And yes, you're right, Frank. I do hate the Giants. You know why I hate the Giants? Because that's
we win. Because we win.
No, they win. They've been out of the playoffs. They've been out of the playoffs just as many times as the Jets. It means nothing. When was the last time you had one?
Long after you won.
The last time you won a Super Bowl, your president style wasn't even invented yet. That's how long it's been. That fuck
2010. Still closer than yours. That's all I can tell you. Yours was made of your Super Bowl trophy was made of wood. That's how old it was.
Stop.
That Super Bowl trophy was made of wood. Hard Rockets.
Rules didn't even exist when they fucking won the Super Bowl with the fucking Jets. Giants.
There was also a big topic this week, and I want to get to Ted Nugent right after this. There was a big topic on one of the shows for a couple of days this week, and the question was, name a worse coach than Robert Saleh.
Oh, there's plenty.
I don't know. So
who's that guy in Chicago? Epirus?
Yeah.
The guy in fucking Carolina.
See, to me, I think I don't think he's a good coach, to be honest. Now, I think he's the worst coach in the league. I agree with you. I think Eberflus, I think Ron Rivera is a worse coach than he is. You heard that today too, Frankie? Salicata was running with that for a little yesterday, but all day today. All his show. I think there are actually worse coaches. The problem I have with Saleh, Jeff, is he hasn't really been given a good team yet. So he built a good defense, which we expect because he's a defensive-minded coach, right? But offensively, he's been hampered with guys like Mekhi Becton and Zach Wilson. He hasn't necessarily been given but he has picked two bad offensive coordinators. One was Mike LaFleur, although LaFleur's flourishing out other places, and of course Nathaniel Hackett. So I think next year is obviously a big year. Rodgers healthy, and they don't play well, then I think you get your chance. But I've seen enough of Robert Saleh to know he's not a great X's and O's guy. He's done a great with the locker room. He's done a lot of good things with personnel and guys buying into what he's doing. But as an X's and O's guy, as a guy who runs a team, I have not been impressed yet. But I won't say he's the worst coach in the league. That I cannot say.
He's by far from the worst coach in the league. And I will tell you what he is. He's a coach of a team that has virtually given up, I feel. And you're only going to get so much out of a team that's given up. They already knew that Zach Wilson wasn't going to be the man and wasn't going to do anything for this team. Okay, the team knew that in week 1. He had a few flashes here and there where he was heading in the right direction, but let's be honest, he wasn't doing it. It wasn't anybody he wasn't doing anything worthwhile for this team, okay? That's one thing. Second of all, I firmly believe that he was told by Woody that this was the backup and this is the plan going forward.
Oh, I agree.
This work. There's only so much you can do when you're told this is how it's going to be. And that's unless somebody stood up and said otherwise, and I would have to stand up and say liar. Okay. I don't believe that anything less happened than what I say. He was told that Zach Wilson was the quarterback for this team. He was told that we're not going to get anybody else on this team to be quarterback. Okay, which they proved that. They were going to push Zach Wilson. Somebody, Woody Johnson, believes that he actually had a chance in the NFL. I think that they have no choice now but to get rid of him at the end of the season, regardless of what they think.
Yeah, I agree.
Or that, or they're going to start losing money.
No, he's gone. There's no way he could be on this team next year. It's impossible.
Listen, don't ever say never, please.
No, I got it, but I would tell you it would be a tragedy. But I would say this: all bets are off. I mean, to me, Douglas already dug his grave. The problem is you can't fire Douglas, so he's coming back. But Douglas is not building an offensive line in 4 or 5 years. He's not found a quarterback or a suitable backup to this point for the future. There's a lot of issues with Joe Douglas. Saleh maybe deserves another chance, maybe he doesn't, but he's going to get one. But I would tell you, if these guys don't make the playoffs and win a game or so, they will not be back next year. They will not back the following year. That's a given.
Robert Saleh has no choice but to coach the people that he is given.
Right.
He also has to fall into line, I feel, regardless of what he says and what he thinks are two different things. I think he knows that he had a shitty team. Okay. I don't think he's happy with the team that he has right now. But they're so hell-bent on making this Aaron Rodgers experiment work that they're not going to say anything negative about anybody. That Aaron Rodgers says, no, I want him, I want that one, I want this. Aaron Rodgers wants to play football, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to learn a new system at all whatsoever. And that's all there is to that. And you know that.
I agree. No, I agree. I think they had no choice. They banked on Rodgers having a great year this year with the great defense. It didn't work out. And now that they have no way they can part with any of the coaches while Aaron Rodgers is on the team, and they can't afford to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. So they're stuck with what they got from right now. So
I want to go up to ESPN, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to do this. So just give me a second so I could.
Hard Rock and Sports, that's Jeff and Tom. We're here on the first Thursday in January. We're happy to have you guys back. And, I got to tell you, the outpouring of love the last few weeks, I've run into people who've talked with the Joey's wedding, and more than a few people talk to me about how they listen in, not quite every minute of every show or every week, but they listen in quite a bit. It was really nice to hear. I was at work, and a bunch of people approached me about the show and how they've been listening and watching in. And I say, thank you. I come to Thursday night thinking it's just me and Jeff talking for 2 hours. And if anybody else happened to pass by, it's great. We've been blessed with people like Frank and Adam and the boys from Black Sasquatch and tons of a few other people who tune in semi-regularly. So it's a great thing. But thank you to everybody who actually pays attention to us. It really does mean a lot to me. I won't speak for Jeff. I'm sure it does to Jeff as well. But, when I went to a business thing last Thursday, and I went to one of my one of the vendors who does work for my company, and one of the salesmen was talking about the show, and some of the people said, I tuned in, I saw it. It's just nice when people kind of bring it up and talk about us and actually pay attention to us, Jeff.
Yeah, sure, of course.
So I just wanted to take that minute. But it's a new year. We got football for the next 2 months. Got great playoff games coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. Baseball season around the corner. The Rangers are playing great. The Knicks making trades. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a playoff run in basketball. I would say watch out for the Rangers this year. We'll be paying a lot more attention to the Rangers come playoff time. I think this is a team, Jeff. I don't know how much you're paying attention to hockey anymore. I know you used to be big. Now you're not. But the Rangers got to have a look of a team that's really going to do some damage. They got even their backup goaltender is playing great hockey.
Time will tell. This is don't be a Met fan and start winning the Stanley Cup in January. We got 6 months. Okay? But I want to just talk about Salah real quick, Tom. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you know what? They lost to the Patriots by 5 points. If you had a regular quarterback, a better quarterback, maybe that game's different. They lost to the Chiefs by 3 points. Maybe that game's different. They got blown out by the Chargers. They lost to the Raiders by 4 points. Maybe if they had a better quarterback, they were a little bit closer in that game. They got blown out by the Bills. They got blown out by the Dolphins. The Falcons, they lost by 6 points or whatever it is, 7 points. Maybe they stood a chance in that when they got blown out by the Dolphins again. And the Browns, they got blown out. What am I saying? I'm saying if they had a better quarterback, maybe they win 3 more games. And if they won 3 more games, maybe that they were possible playing for something this weekend. So, as bad as they were with Zach Wilson, and they were bad because Zach Wilson wasn't able to get them anything, there's still 3 games that's possible. Now, I know you could go down every team's schedule and say that about every single team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So, and no, dude, that's not true. Maybe that's what you think, Frankie, because you're fucking warped. I don't know, but I don't. I've been telling everybody the Jets ain't winning anything for quite some time. Please look back up on fucking replays here, okay? And you'll hear me say that on more than one occasion. Tommy will vouch for me on that one.
Absolutely.
Okay? So that being said, all I'm saying at this point in time is that if the Jets had Rodgers and that schedule went the same exact way, there is a possibility that they would have been a little bit better. Would they have gone into the playoffs? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they would have, because those other games, they lost 2 division games against the Dolphins. They lost 1 against the Bills. They lost too many games. I just think that there's certain teams that, a quarterback is going to make a difference. Of course, the Jets are a big difference, but would Aaron Rodgers have made them go to the playoffs? I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Yeah, again, I don't know the answer. Would they have played better? Sure. Could they have won? Could they have lost some games that they actually won, and won some games that they actually lost? Anything's possible. Nobody knows how the season would have turned out one way or the other. But I did not hold the same thoughts that a lot of Jet fans who had them going to the Super Bowl this year. I thought that was a big stretch.
That's insane.
I agree. I certainly agree, and I don't buy into that thought process. I won't buy into that thought process. For next year, I think I have a lot of doubts what they're going to look like next year. But go ahead.
Let's do the Giants real quick on this one.
Go ahead. Sure.
Okay. They all right. They beat the Cardinals. I'm skipping again. Like the Niners, they got lost. They lost by 18. Seahawks, they lost by 21. Dolphins, they lost by 15. Then you get to the Bills. They lost 14-9. Is there a chance that they could have been a little different in that game? Definitely, without a doubt. They lost to the Jets 13-10. It could have been a little different. But the Giants, the difference between the Jets and the Giants, it seems as though that when the Giants lost, they lost. They lost against the Cowboys 40-0 in the first week. And then when they played them again, 49-17. The Saints, they lost 24-6. They had a chance against the Eagles, 33-25. And even against the Rams, 26-25. But let's face it, New York teams suck.
I agree, but let me ask you, because I had this on my mind all week, and I wanted to call you about it, but I said I wanted to hold it for the show, and I'm glad you segued right into it for me. Having said that, which team had the most disappointing season, or, let's say most disappointing? Was it the Jets based on all the hype of the Aaron Rodgers and then coming down and winning 6 or 7 games this year, whatever it is? Was it the Giants who won a playoff game last year, won 9 games, won a playoff game, was within one game of the NFC Championship game? Who had the most disappointing season this year?
I think you can make an argument for both teams to have the most disappointing season simply because of what you said. You had the hype of Aaron Rodgers and the Jets being a Super Bowl contender versus a team that was building on something that made it to the second round of the playoffs and didn't capitalize this time around. And I got to be honest with you. To me, I think that both of them are in no-win situations. Neither team has an offensive line. Okay, this is me looking at it now. Okay, so I know you're not going to agree with me, but both teams have quarterback questions. Both teams have no offensive line. Tom, I'm sorry. I know you like them. Both teams have fucking general manager questions and head coaching questions. A head coach does not leave his starting quarterback out in a game in the pouring rain, week 1 of the season, down 40-0, and use the excuse, I wanted to see what he can do. I wanted to give him a chance to get back on track. When you're down 40-0, he should have been out of the game when it was out of reach. That's just me. Okay. Who do I think has the upper hand going into next season? Nobody. No, I think that they both suck. And I think that it's going to be, somebody's going to make a little bit of a headway. I just think that it may be the Giants because I think that they have a little bit more on the ball than the Jets. Woody has no idea what he's doing, and they're pigeonholed by Aaron Rodgers.
I would agree. I think the Giants are closer. Not that they're going to be a great team, but I think the Giants may be closer because the Jets need to make changes that they're not going to make. So,
Frank Catalano, you say that you think Dable is a great coach. Remember that first game of the season, there was a couple questionable calls that he did, and one of them was playing Daniel Jones week 1 in the pouring rain in a 40-0 game.
I got it, but that's one. You're pigeonholed to one game, one, and I don't disagree. I don't think he should have been in the game. I'm with you.
There was another questionable call. I should have wrote it down. There was another questionable call.
But
but you know what? If you say it happens, but it's a long year. Yes, you're right. It's a very long year.
Yeah.
If it's week 5 or 6, yes, you keep them out there. Week 1, and it's raining and it's 40-0, and your team hasn't done anything all game, I'm not playing them. That's me. I'm not playing them.
I'm not gonna argue the point that I think he should have been in there. I agree with you. I think he should have been out of the game. There should have been no chance of him getting hurt in a meaningless game. But I'm not going to change my thought on him being a good coach. I don't know about a great coach, but there's a guy who came in last year with a team with absolutely nobody thought the Giants were going to do anything at all. Everybody picked them to be last in their division, and they finished above that. They won a playoff game. They were exciting, and they were fun, and they took a step back this year. Jones gets hurt, didn't live up to the hype so far. The offensive line took a major step backwards. The defense was spotty early on, came back later in the season. So I think Coach Dable is a really good coach. I don't think he's a great coach yet, but I think he's a really good coach. Next year will be the telltale year.
What happens now?
Okay.
Yep. You have a lot of people on this team, the Giants. Let's talk about the Giants right now. You got a lot of people on this team that might not be back next year. Sure. Evan Neal a bust after what? This will be his 3rd year, going on his 3rd year. He hasn't lived up to the hype. Yeah, I believe he was injured for part of the season, wasn't he?
He missed a good part of the season, yeah.
Okay, you got your left tackle, Thomas.
Yep.
Is his last name? He's been injured for a while. Are these guys going to be known? Definitely, without a doubt, Daniel Jones is definitely injury prone. I don't care what anybody says. Barkley, do you sign Barkley and maybe try to trade him to get a couple draft picks or something?
No, I've signed Barkley and I want him on the team. Barkley is proven to be a stud player, a guy that the offense revolves around. The problem is going to be, what can you sign him for? What can he will he take? Will he take another franchise year, which I doubt? That's the question about. But to me, Saquon Barkley is a talent. You watch the guy play, and he just makes plays, and he does things that a lot of guys just don't do. Now, is he Christian McCaffrey? I don't know, but
no, definitely not. The only thing he has in common with Christian McCaffrey is they both get hurt.
But I would tell you that he can be, with an offensive line intact and a balanced offense, Saquon Barkley can really be, the next 2 or 3 years, be a great player, 1,500 yards or better, my opinion. But will we see that? I don't know if the Giants will spend the money there. I would. If I was the GM, I'd find a way to sign Saquon for a 3-year deal, give him a 1.5, give him 2 years guaranteed. I want Saquon Barkley back. That's my opinion.
Well, we will find out. We will see.
Absolutely, 100%. We're going to find out. That's going to be an interesting offseason for the Giants. Yeah.
I think that it's you have to make a decision.
Sure.
Was it going to be Barkley or Jones? Because you can't have both.
No, you can. You can definitely have both. But the question is going to be, the biggest question for the Giants in the offseason is going to be, what do they do with the 5th pick of the draft? Are they taking a quarterback? Because you could take the quarterback this year in the draft early, and Jones could still be your quarterback next year, and even for the next 2 years, because he signed for 4. Next year is the only real guaranteed year. But Jones could be the quarterback, and a guy like Drake May or one of those guys could be on the bench for a year or two, learn the game, and then take over for Jones before he had to get a new contract. So you could do it that way. I would not. I would get a quarterback in the 2nd round, and in the 1st round, I would draft another offensive lineman or a big time receiver to go along with Jalen Hyatt and Slayton and that crowd. That's what I would do.
Man, you're gonna have another long year ahead of you.
I would not draft a quarterback. And first off, I don't like any of them to be.
I'm not saying to draft starters. First of all, what I would do if I was the Giants, what I would do if you're going to talk about a bridge quarterback, and you don't have to pay Jones. Well, no, they have to pay Jones this year, right?
Yeah, they have Jones is guaranteed this year, $40 million.
Okay, so he's going to be back this year,
100%.
But after that, I don't know. I would just try to find somebody a little bit more durable.
Oh, listen, I would tell you that next year is a make or break year for him. Yeah, Jeff, if he doesn't play 16 games of great football, Jones will not be back the following year. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt in my mind. So I'm with you on that.
He can't play 16 games of great football. And the reason he can't play 16 games of great football is because until they get that offensive line fixed, he's not going to be able to do it. Nobody's going to be able to play 16
I'm with you.
Football.
That's why I would use that 1st pick in the draft on an offensive lineman. It would be
what he has to do. To me,
you
want to show that you should be the future of the quarterback. There is have a solid season. Don't have to have a great season. A solid season.
I agree.
That's at least
what he did last year. Yeah, just what he did last year. Absolutely.
Touchdowns, not get injured, and an ample enough yardage.
I would agree 100%. Yeah,
that's what I would say.
I agreed, but to be able to give him the ability to prove it, I think you got to put the pieces around him, and that's either getting a Marvin Harrison Jr., getting one of the big offensive linemen in the draft, getting a stud player early and fixing that up front, or giving him another weapon. I mean, they brought in a bunch of guys. Paris Campbell didn't do anything this year. Waller's been hurt most of the year.
They didn't play Paris Campbell. But, Paris Campbell we had last year on our he was on the Colts last year. We had him on our team last year. Yeah. He had a couple decent games. We had him on our fantasy team last year.
Yeah, he played well, and that's how he got the contract from the Giants, because he had a good year on his contract year last year. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. So
he wasn't a 1,000-yard receiver, but he was a decent player.
No. He had his best years. I think he had 800 and something yards, about 4 or 5 touchdowns. It was a good year. The Giants have a decision to make at 5, and that's the question is, if you still believe that Daniel Jones is your at least near future quarterback, you got to go with an offensive lineman or a big time receiver. If you don't, if the Giants draft a quarterback at the number 5 pick, the handwriting's on the wall for Daniel Jones. that he will not be the quarterback after next season, or it's even possible he won't be the quarterback at all next year and be riding the pine. I think Daniel Jones is the quarterback next year, and next year is his make or break year. But that doesn't mean if I'm not the Giants, with my second round pick, if you could grab a Bo Nix, if you could grab somebody of that ilk in the second round, I would get them, plant them on the bench, and at the very least, for the next 2 or 3 years, you got yourself a solid guy working his way through the system and becomes the backup quarterback. And with the chance to, if Daniel Jones falters, he steps in. No, Jones don't get the next contract, and that guy becomes the quarterback. I would not take a first rounder. I would take somebody in the second or trade up into the end of the first round to grab somebody that happens to be still there.
If there's nobody that you think is going to be worthy of a first round, I wouldn't try to either.
I like Drake May. I don't like him that early in the draft. I'm not a big fan of Caleb Williams. I know he's got a lot of the tools, but that USC team did not play great this year. Great. You could say all you want. All the team's not great around them. Well, then he's not great then. And I don't want a guy that can't make his team even better. So I'm not huge on Caleb Williams.
You have one already.
Huh?
You have one with Daniel Jones.
It's very possible. So to me, I would take a flyer on a guy in the second round. Like I said, Bo Nix, that type of guy, a little mature. I mean, I think Bo Nix is 24, 25 years old, and let him be my quarterback on the bench. You bring back a Tommy DeVito, see if he's got something, and that's how I would roll through this offseason if I'm the Giants. But that first pick has got to be either a stud offensive lineman or a stud receiver. That's where I'm going first round if I'm the Giants, and then fix my other problems after that. So we'll see what happens. Jeff and Tom talking. I want to talk a little music right now. Let's switch over. Before we get to Nugent, Jeff, I want to talk to you a little bit about Elvis.
Okay.
I know we don't do a lot of talking about Elvis on the show. It doesn't really kind of fit the hard rock motif. But there's a trend coming, and the train ain't going to stop. And it's AI hologram show. So in London, they're starting in the Elvis Evolution immersive AI hologram show. And this is interesting because what they are talking about doing is creating holograms. Now they have this one of Elvis, and they're able to put Elvis in historic moments. The '69 comeback special. They can show Elvis on Frank Sinatra's TV show, and they could recreate these iconic moments almost live with a hologram that supposedly has been improved even more. And I'm curious, we both kind of downplayed the hologram thing in the past. It looked like just a bunch of light, but it's intriguing to me if they're making this even better and better, and they could kind of revisit history, so to speak. Could you show up with the other guys in a band and recreate Freddie Mercury in Live Aid? Can we have redo the Beatles at the top of Abbey Road Studios? Something like this. Yeah. I don't know about Johnny Cash. I didn't see that, but I know they tried it with Tupac. They've tried it with Dio. In fact, I think one of the founders of this thing is Vinny Appice. I think he's part of a company that kind of started this whole thing. This is, I think, a different company. But Jeff, if you could find out that they would put together a realistic-looking Black Sabbath band that could play, one of their iconic concerts, I'm not saying you'd run to it, but would it be intriguing, or it's not really them? I got no interest in it.
No, I wouldn't have much interest in it at all because, like you just said, it's not them. It's not them, and I would have no want or urge to go see it. I really wouldn't want to go see it, man. No, it's not for me.
It's a life-size digital Elvis. I mean, it's supposed to be like as realistic as it can get. I mean, to me, if I had the opportunity to go to a show with a real band playing to an AI Elvis, not a cartoon on a screen, but some sort of kind of computer-generated figure on stage, playing the iconic concert, Elvis in Hawaii or at Madison Square Garden or the '69 comeback special, I gotta tell you, it really would intrigue me. Now, like, listen, I'm not going to see, Quiet Riot at Hologram, but if I had the opportunity to go see Elvis or the Beatles, or see some iconic moment from history, through this, go show up at someplace and they're redoing the Abbey Road Beatles final show. I gotta tell you, I'd be intrigued by it.
Sorry, dude, not for me.
Yeah, I don't know.
How
about you guys, Frankie, Adam? Would you guys be intrigued if a legendary, if they were able to bring back, let's say they could bring back George Harrison and John Lennon, and you could drag McCartney and Ringo up there to play a show? Not that they would do it, but that wouldn't interest you. I mean, Frankie, if it's a normal concert price or a little cheaper, because think about it, we've talked about this with the Kiss thing, Jeff. You could play concerts four different places in one night with the way they're doing this.
All right, so
all over the place.
Would you want to go spend? What is the most you would spend on a concert? You and your wife are going to a concert. Doesn't matter who it is. Your wife wants to go to this concert. It's at Madison Square Garden on Friday night.
I spent for 2 tickets to see Elton John close to $800.
All right, one it's Elton John.
Right.
One it's Elton John. All right, so I'm going to tell you 500. Let's call it 500.
Okay.
So now here comes your dream Beatles concert. Okay.
Yep.
You're going to spend $500 to go watch a hologram.
No, I wouldn't do that. But Frankie said it depends on the price, and I agree with Frankie. If it was,
it's a night out, and I would check it out no more than $100. That's what
I would agree. I would agree with that. If it was in the ballpark, because it should be that cheap. Because you're able to do that multiple places, multiple times. You could do this thing in 10 cities around the world. I would agree with Frankie on that. If it was in the air of $100 for a night out, I would think about it. Sure.
Here's the thing: it's up to you to decide if you want to do this or not. Now,
sure, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second of all, if they're going to be doing it all over the place, that makes it a movie. That doesn't make it anything less than a movie. Because they're going to be like, okay, it's going to be at the Lane, it's going to be at the St. George Theater, it's going to be here, it's going to be there. Okay. I myself, I don't have. It would have to be a lot cheaper than that. If it was $50 a person, maybe I would go, maybe, but it would have to be pretty damn good. And I just wouldn't want to go because you're not seeing the Beatles in concert or Elvis in concert. I just wouldn't want to go because I'm not going to see the person. I wouldn't spend $50 on a movie. Per person.
Right, I got you. Now, Frankie, I saw Rain too, and it was fantastic. And that probably cost $60-$80 a pop, maybe more, to go see that. And that's just 4 guys dressing up as the Beatles. So,
that's 4 guys playing.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's a difference. That's 4 guys actually playing. You're actually going to see a human being play that music. Now, I understand what you're about to say. Well, what's the difference? It's not the regular Beatles. You're 100% right. It's not the regular Beatles, but it's actually, if you're playing $100 per ticket to go see this guy perform, and it's a hologram, that's one thing. Where you go see Rain or whatever this is, and it's a $60 a ticket, and one guy is playing different instruments throughout the whole thing, singing, everything else. That goes to show talent.
Yep.
This hologram thing, it's a fine line, man. I don't like it.
No, I'm not sure how I feel about it either. Again, I wouldn't go see a normal band or somebody that wasn't a youth. It would have to be historic, like to see Elvis or the Beatles or, maybe someone I never got to see in concert. But again, it would have to be like a real live band with the hologram singer, or a real live band with one member who's a hologram, where you at least get the feel that you're seeing a live band. I wouldn't want to go see a concert that's basically completely computer generated. I wouldn't want to see that. But if I went to see the Beatles, I use the Beatles as an example.
Yeah,
there were 3 live guys there and 1 hologram, or 2 and 2 or whatever it is. That would interest me. It gives the feel of it. If I were to see Elvis and his entire band, backup singers, they're all real people. I'm seeing musicians, I'm seeing talent, and I've got Elvis singing. I know it's not really Elvis, but it's still Elvis up there. And again, how good is it? Is the technology good? I think I'm intrigued enough to at least go once. But it would have to be historic.
You bring up Elvis, right? Elvis has been dead longer than he was alive at this point in time. Okay, Elvis has been dead for almost 50 years. He was 42 years old when he died.
Yep.
So he's been dead longer than he was actually alive. Frankie, as far as you're seeing Queen with Freddie, Queen last time around with Adam Lambert singing did a song where Freddie did a duet with Brian May, where at the end, I believe that they touched somehow, some way, the way that they did it. Freddie Mercury put his hand out and he was able to touch Brian May as they were playing. That's the way that it made it look. I one song is one thing, but a whole concert, I'm sorry, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you could tell me that I could get the three members of Queen back for a show. Again, I don't know if it's a tour on it, but let's say there was a short run. They did a bunch of U.S. and European shows, and you told me I could go sit in a concert, watch Brian May, John Deacon, and Taylor play to a real looking, a hologram of Freddie Mercury, and I could kind of experience, again, let's call it an experience of Freddie with the band. As a guy who never saw them, I would do it. Now, would I do it as a hologram of Rush with Neil Peart behind the drums? See, now I'm not sure I'd do that. I'm not sure. That, to me, I think the experience of him playing live, and I don't know if I could buy into it. I would think about it. But for the singing part, or even playing a little music, guitars and stuff, I again, to see Freddie or Elvis, maybe Johnny Cash. I never saw Johnny Cash live. I'm not the biggest fan, but see some iconic shows, I have to think about that one.
I don't know. I couldn't spend the money on that, man. I
get it. Like I said, if you were telling me that they were doing a regular Elvis show someplace and they were doing this, and they've had it, I don't know. But if you're telling me, hey, we're going to relive the '69 special, or we're going to relive, the concert in Hawaii, I got to go, boy, what would it have been like to be there? Now, what's next? I say to myself, okay, guys, what's next? Is it going to be, Muhammad? We will go to a hologram of Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier recreating, the Thriller in Manila. I don't know. That kind of stuff doesn't interest me. But, because the outcome already. But to me, this is huge. Like, I think this could be really, really fun to step out.
Just think about what you just said. You said that you wouldn't want to go see that because you know the outcome already. You already know the outcome of somebody's concert that you spoke about.
No, I got it, but it's historic. And again, I got you. It's a little. I got it.
And you know what? They could turn around and say they could make up a fucking program of the Gettysburg Address, or a famous battle within the Civil War, or maybe even the Revolutionary War.
Oh, you know what?
A hologram of them blowing up fucking Japan.
Listen, honestly, truly, I got to be honest with you. That's intriguing. If you told me that I could be standing on the field at Gettysburg while the battle actually happened in hologram and it was that realistic, dude, I would think about it. Like, that would be something that would be able to walk amongst that or stand on the outside and watch that battle happen live in front of me. Relive history a little bit. Boy, now you're starting to play with the technology. I don't know what capabilities that ever would have, but I think that would actually be cool to do something like that. Now, what it would look like and how it works, I probably never could happen. But see, that is interesting to me to go back and relive some of those moments. Would it be cool to be in the same room with a realistic looking Abe Lincoln while he gave the Emancipation Proclamation, or the guy signed the Declaration of Independence? I don't know. I think it would be a little eerie and a little something. I think there is some places for stuff like that where you can kind of go back and relive history as we know it, to feel it a little bit bigger. Could you imagine being there and they could do something like this with the Normandy landing, D-Day, and just little stuff like that, little pieces of history. Man, I would say to me, some of that stuff could be a lot of fun. It could be dangerous too, though. But
Listen,
now,
it ain't for me. I wouldn't want to go see it.
but I'll say this: I don't know if I would go see Freddie Mercury's hologram with 3 unknown guys. I don't know that. I don't know. Like, to me, that Elvis's band. To me, most people couldn't name 2 people that were ever in Elvis's band besides Scotty Moore. Short of, so I think that's different. But to me, if you were going to put Freddie out there without Queen, now I'm not kind of feeling it. I got 3 guys; they're not really Queen, so it depends on the situation. So I'll let it run at that.
The best you're ever going to get for Queen is 2 guys. That's the best you're ever going to get.
Why, you don't think you can ever get Deacon to play again?
John Deacon's done. John Deacon's done. John Deacon said that when Freddie was done, that was it. When he was gone, that's it. He was done.
But if they were able to recreate that, and he would, boatload of cash, you never know. Again, I'm not saying he'd go out touring, but if you said to me, hey, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars, and you have to play 5 shows with the other guys, who knows? I'm not telling you he would do it. I'm just saying I think that would be intriguing. And but again, to me, it would take that. You couldn't do Sabbath and do a hologram with Ozzy with 3 other guys behind them. To me, it's kind of got to be the band. Like, you couldn't do the Beatles and a hologram unless it was all 4 of them in a hologram, or have 2 original members and the 2 holograms. Like, you can't just show up with 3 other guys and John Lennon. You know what I mean? It doesn't work.
I don't see it happening. I wouldn't want to see it.
No, I agree with you on the fact that you don't want to see it, and that's fine. I think that's you're well in your prerogative not to be excited by it. But I do think it could happen. I think a lot of this stuff is going to happen as we get older and we see the technology changing. I think you will start to see computer generated performances, because it will be cheaper to put that out there than taking a Taylor Swift concert across the country, or taking these people down to Latin America to see a show. They can ship a box down there, hire some people, and people will go down and play. And I think, again, the selling point's got to be, it's an iconic person. It's somebody who you never got to see. That's the one thing I think you got to buy. You got to buy into it with Jeff.
Oh, I'll be honest with you. Knowing that it's fake.
Yep.
There's nobody that you could say that would make me go like, I got to get to this.
No, I get it. Again, for me, Elvis would be one I would love, if the technology was right as they say it's going to be, to take my dad to an Elvis concert to see how he would react to it. That looks, and again, Jeff, I think it depends on what it looks like too. If you go up there and it's a beam of light and you see there's a face in there, you're like, I don't know, that's not Elvis. But if it's, as realistic as they're talking about, to me, that's got to be an interesting thing to see.
I'm eventually anything that you're talking about will be realistic.
Yeah.
Okay. So eventually, whether it's 10 years or 20 years or 100 years, sooner or later, everything that you're making mention of will be realistic.
Yeah.
But does it make it, I just.
I get it. We'll move on.
I wouldn't want to. I just wouldn't do nothing for me.
Understood.
It's not real. And the price that people are going to pay for it, just not going to be worth it.
Well, I think that's another big question. Listen, if you're telling me I got to pay $500 to show up to see an Elvis concert when it's not really Elvis, I would tell you I wouldn't do it. Same as I wouldn't do I wouldn't pay $500 now for the most part.
You're right, but you want to know something? I have tickets inside, right in the store behind me, on a fucking frame. Okay, I have tickets to go see Rush and Van Halen and Metallica that I paid $27.50 for. You know what you would pay to see one of those concerts now?
Sure,
you would pay a lot more than $27.50. So sooner or later, the price is going to continue to go up, and people are going to be dumb enough to pay what the asking price is.
It's the truth. No, listen, some people will pay Max Headroom. Adam, you're funny as hell. I haven't heard that name in 100 years. God, Max Headroom. Talk about 80s references. God damn. That's 80s, right? Max Headroom? Yeah. Jesus Christ. I heard some good. I heard some cool cool song today. A guy by his name is Mark Wills or Willis. I think it's Mark Wills. Wrote a song called 1970 something. Country song, but got a real great beat to it. Lot of fun. Frank, you might get to see the Pepe hologram before it's all over.
Frankie's going to be in for a very big surprise next week when the real Pepe is unveiled. Maybe it is the one we call Russell Wilson. Who knows?
That's very true.
Who knows?
That's it. So, guys, we're running out of time tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We got one more story, and then we're going to end the show right there. I'll talk a little about Ted Nugent. We'll talk maybe a little football before we close it up. We'll go run through the games for the weekend. I want to get Jeff's take on some of the games this weekend real fast. But let's do the Ted Nugent thing. Ted Nugent, Jeff, obviously is ultra conservative, MAGA type. I love Ted. Not so much his music. I've never really been a big Ted fan. Cat Scratch Fever and Wham Bams and what's that song he's got?
Stranglehold.
He's got a few of them.
We know what you're talking about. What is he doing?
So anyway, Ted said, what was the quote? The quote is, there's a quote. You have to have shit for brains to believe in global warming. And I'm just curious how many people who come on our show each week actually believe in global warming. I do not believe in global warming, to be honest with you. I think seasons change over time. I think we've shown that as a society we've have evolution. Do I think that we hurt the planet with some things? Sure, I do. I think we rob ourselves of natural resources, but I believe that things just evolve, things change. I do not necessarily believe in global warming per se. So, but I'm curious. I consider everybody here very smart guys. I agree with that. Does anybody here, Jeff, including you? You don't have to weigh in if you don't want. Some people don't want to get into the whole politics thing. I do not believe in the global warming. I'm with Ted. I think you have to have your head examined if you believe in it. But anybody here want to throw out their opinion? I'm always willing to hear it.
I find it hard to believe that a little bit more than 200 years of industrialized nations have changed the world as what we know it today, especially when they turn around and tell us that certain dinosaurs were around in previous years before ice ages, which to me would lead me to believe that the world is constantly changing. Listen, the slightest shift of the world's axis and life as we know could be over.
Sure.
So, all it takes is for it to move a degree, which is like a quarter of an inch or something stupid like that. And things are very different in the world as we know it today. So, it's just stupid. And look at the first, and if you don't think it's stupid, look at the people that are saying
it. Yeah, I agree. Listen, I agree with you. Anybody who glues their hands to the floor to make a statement can't have shit for brains. That's why I look at him.
Can I say that? I will say this much.
God.
I do feel and do believe that if mankind doesn't change the trajectory that we're on, or trajectory that we're on, however the word is, whatever you want to use, that eventually we might be able to talk about global warming as these maniacs say it now. But I think that's so far down the line that we're not going to be here to even know that conversation happens.
I agree, and I'm all for it to change. Like when people talk about fossil fuels, I'm not stuck on having a gas powered car. I'd be happy to have an electric car when you perfect it, when you get it right, where I can charge my car and drive 300, 400 miles and pull over to a place where I can charge it in the matter of the same amount of time as I fill up my gas tank. I'm all for it, and when I'm not spending $90,000 on a car to do that. So
let me let you in on a little quick story. Electric vehicles.
Okay.
Why electric vehicles are fucking stupid.
Go ahead.
I have a couple electric vehicles at work. Okay. I was recently using one, and it would charge. Everything runs on electric. Okay. So when you put the car on, you put the heat on, you put the air conditioning on, the heated seats, the heating steering wheel, whatever you want, that car starts drawing off a battery. Okay. A friend of mine at work recently took his electric car and went down to North Carolina. So the car came with an app that he had to download onto his phone, and he was able to plan his whole entire trip based on where he would come across charging stations. So I'm not going to get into how he bought the car. He bought the car because he got a deal on it, this, that, and the other thing. He liked the car. I saw the car, a model like his. I didn't see his. It's different looking. It's more modern than anything else that's out there, really, like most electric cars are.
Sure.
So he went, according to the app, to the way they told him to go, mapped out his route. He got to the first place, no charging stations. Went to the second place, no charging stations. Basically, half the charging stations that they told him to go to were either A, not there, or B, not in use. So now this was an app, an up-to-date app, telling him which way to go and what to do. And it didn't work out for him. So that's one thing with electric vehicles. So if you want to continue to look into an electric vehicle, you better really be prepared for what could happen, because not every place has charging stations. And then to charge it, it costs a lot of money to charge these cars.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You're not just charging it and saying, okay, I'll see you later. I'm good now. No, it takes hours to charge it to full. You could get a quick charge, which is like, I'll say, better than 50% of your battery life or whatever, but it's not a full charge. So, maybe you go 150 miles, but you'll know that 150 miles you have to stop.
Right.
What happens now? Here comes the wintertime. Okay. Do electric cars have the power to go through slush, sleet, and snow? The batteries are underneath the car. What happens when that plastic gets compromised and now salt and ice get in there? Does that short circuit the battery? Does that damage the battery? We have a relatively new electric, a Chevy Bolt. It looked like your wife's old car.
Yep.
A little bit bigger than your old car. Okay.
Okay.
The battery died. Okay. Because it was compromised. Okay. Take a guess how much to replace the battery.
$350.
Is that your final offer?
My final offer.
Okay. We brought the car to a dealership where we were told to bring the car. We told them to fix the car. They called us back with a price, and they wanted to know who was going to pay for the car. Okay? So we said, well, how much does it cost for the battery? Tom, strike me down if I'm lying. $21,000.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yes. How much did the car cost brand fucking new? You're telling me the battery cost $21,000.
Wow.
I don't know if that $21,000 includes the price of a brand new battery, installation, and or getting rid of the old battery. Because what are you going to do with that? And how you transport that around?
Wow.
Okay? So now you're talking about a car that probably wasn't even $40,000, but yet $21,000 to get that car fixed and ready to get back on the road. We were told, go get the car now and tow it back to the garage and leave it there till we can figure out what we're going to do. As far as I know, that was before I went on vacation. The car is still in its parking spot when they put it in there. The last thing that I would want, they're never going to perfect an electric battery because it's in a battery. What do they do? I have batteries here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
AA batteries that I have right here. I forget what they came out of, okay? I'm not supposed to throw these in the garbage. What the fuck am I going to do with it? I have to go someplace to drop these two batteries off? I don't think so.
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen, but I'm not supposed to throw them out in the garbage. But what did they tell you? Well, batteries, they could go on fire. How many house fires has there been because of the ion batteries? And so now I'm afraid to put them in the garbage. So right now they sit right here until I can figure out what am I going to do with them and get rid of them some other way. Yeah. So would I want an electric battery? No, I will continue to burn fossil fuel for as long as I can.
No, listen, I'm with you. If they perfected it, I'm all in, but it won't happen in our lifetime. I don't think it will. But yeah, to me, I'm all for new forms of technology, new ways to do things better. I'm all for it, but it has to be economical. I mean, obviously, $21,000 for a battery is not economical. I don't know I don't know what a hydrogen powered car would look like. I get it. It's not like the rev of an engine. I get that. I don't know what any of those things are going to, but again, I'm all for it if it works right. When I went to Florida last time,
You ever drive a golf cart?
yes.
That's what it sounds like when you pull away from the curb in an electric car.
Well, I would tell you this. I went to Florida last time and we rented a car. We got in, we had a 4:00 flight. We got in about 7:00, made our way down to budget to rent a car. My wife had rented a car for us and it was mystery car. So it could be this, could be this, could be this. It's like a whole different line. One of the things she didn't pick up on the fact that it could be an electric car. So I got down there 7:00. The guy says, "Okay, we have this car for you. It's this car to car." I said, "Never heard of that." He goes, "Yeah, it's an electric vehicle." I said, "I don't want an electric vehicle." So he's like, "Well, I'd have to take you, upgrade you, and you'd have to pay another $40 a day." I said, "I will pay whatever you want. I am not leaving here an electric vehicle because I don't know." Well, he says, "You probably won't have to charge it at all. You're only here for 3 or 4 days, but it depends on what you drive and what things you run in the car." I said, "The minute you tell me, my car lasts depending on how much I run in the car, and I have to push my car a couple hours a day so that I won't have to use the battery, I don't want it." So I'm not ready for that technology. I see them on the street all over the place. People have them all over, but
Honestly, Tom, be honest with you, for city driving where we are in New York, and when you come here to work in Manhattan, an electric car would be pretty economical, okay? Because you probably would only charge it once or twice a week, if that, because most of the time, if you're driving strictly in the city, you're not doing more than 200 miles a week anyway.
right.
You know what I mean? So, if you were to drive a car or take an electric car, and say you drove your truck to Manhattan, and then once you got to Manhattan, you got an electric car, and then you drove around with an electric car, you probably wouldn't hit 200 miles. You know that. But what happens in the summertime when you got the air on? What happens in the wintertime? Because as soon as you put the heat on in the wintertime, you have heat. In a regular fuel-powered vehicle, you're not getting heat right away.
Yeah.
It takes time for the engine to warm up. Where's the heat?
Yeah, you're right. No, you're 100% right.
So,
listen, there's a lot of downside to it. I'm sure there's some upside to it. I'm not ready for it. I don't think anybody really, the society's not really ready for it, but it is what it is. And like I said, I don't believe in global warming. If you do, that's your business. If you listen to Ted Nugent, you got shit for brains. But having said that, Jeff, we're gonna end the show. We've reached the 2-hour range. There is some great football this weekend. I'll run down a couple of the games. Steelers need to win to get in the playoffs. Texans Colts is a meaningful game. Eagles Giants is not. Patriots and the Jets. Jeff said he has no interest in that game. Saints and Falcons, I think, has some meaning to it. Bengals Browns, I don't know. Jaguars Titans. Lions Vikings is a meaningful game for the Vikings. Bucks Panthers. Cowboys.
Vikings are out.
Are they out? Hold on.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. You are no. They're on the bubble, Jeff. They need to win to have a chance. So they are still on the bubble. There are 12 teams in the NFC. The Falcons, Vikings, Saints, and Seahawks are all on the bubble. The Packers and the Bucks are in the hunt right now, and 5 teams that are sick. There are one. The 49ers, Cowboys, Lions, Eagles, and the Rams are all in. So that's 5 teams in with 2 spots open. So the Bucks have our first place in the NFC. If they win, they get it. The Saints have a chance to win that division, and so do, I guess, the Falcons will have a chance to get in. The Vikings have a chance for the 3rd wild card. So they're still hanging in there. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. I'll run the games down quick, Jeff, fast. Steelers, Ravens, any interest?
No, but I would like to see for our friend John, see what happens with the Steelers. So I will pay attention to the score, but I couldn't give a shit less, to be honest with you.
The Colts and the Texans are both in the hunt. The Colts are on the bubble. The Colts are in the hunt, and the Texans are on the bubble. Does that have any interest for you today, this weekend?
Hold on. Adam, I saw the message. I didn't get a chance to read it. I will check it out after. Let me know what they tell you, and we'll try to work something out. Then we'll definitely meet up if you get up this way, without a doubt.
100%, Adam. Without a doubt. No doubt about it. So Texans at Saturday, second game, Texans and the Colts, Jeff? Yeah.
You know what? I'm surprised that, like, the Texans, I didn't think they were going to be as good a team this year as they are. I didn't think that the Baltimore Colts, the Indianapolis Colts were going to do as good as they are this year, especially since their quarterback got hurt early.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a game worth watching.
Okay. Eagles, Giants, there's no meaning for
attention to. Maybe not watching, worth paying attention to.
Eagles, Giants. Eagles aren't playing for anything. I think they maybe they're playing for first place at this point.
They play for first place if they win.
Yes, if Cowboys have to lose. So okay, there you go. Patriots, Jets, meaningless game other than it could be Bills' last game. Saints and Falcons has some playoff implications. Both teams are still in the hunt for a playoff spot.
You would think the loser is out completely at this point in time.
I would think so. Bengals and the Browns. Obviously, the Browns are in it. The Bengals are eliminated. The Browns right now are winning the AFC North. So I think just a meaningful game for the Browns, Jeff. I'm just intrigued to see if they keep playing as well as they have been.
You know what? Would the Browns, if they win, do they move up another notch or two?
11-5. Well, I guess I don't know the answer to that, because I guess they could jump as a division winner. They could jump over the Chiefs if they win the division. If the Chiefs were to lose, I don't know where they would rank with the Dolphins or the Bills if one of those teams were to win the
Bills
division.
are 6 now, but they will go to second if they win their game.
Correct, but I don't know if the Browns can do any better. Right,
could win the division if Miami loses also.
Right, so I don't know if the Browns could jump up to 2 and get a home playoff game. I'm not sure, but that's an interesting game. Is that Jags and Titans? The Jags are still fighting for a playoff spot. But sounds like Jeff's bored by that game. Lions and Vikings, I don't think means much to anybody at this point.
Vikings don't do anything for me, man.
Yeah. Buccaneers and the Panthers. Go ahead, Jeff.
The Lions, I would like to see the Lions win. I would like to see them end this season on a high note. I don't know, like, how inexperienced they're going to be once the playoff time comes. You know what I mean?
Nope, I got you. I think that's a really good point for not only the team, but their coach as well. You know, does his lack of experience show up in that game? Cowboys and the Commanders. Obviously, Cowboys need to win. The Commanders, I don't know what they're playing for at this point. I don't think that's much of a game. 49ers and Rams. I think the 49ers have the number 1 seed locked up. I think now if the Cowboys were to win and the Niners were to lose, they'd have the same records, but I think the Niners won. So I believe the 49ers are locked in. The Rams are in the hunt. They're actually they have one of the wild cards, I think, locked up at this point. Yeah, they've clinched a playoff spot as a wild card. So pretty much a meaningless game. I think the Cowboys obviously have to win to keep their division, so I can't call it a meaningless game. I'm sorry, 49ers and the Rams. I think it's a meaningless game. Both teams are where they're going to be. Packers and the Bears. The Packers
the Packers.
Yeah, Packers has a meaning. The Bears obviously don't. They've been eliminated. Let's see. Seahawks and the Cardinals. Seahawks are still in the fight. Cardinals are not. Any interest there, Jeff? Cardinals and Seahawks?
Not really. A lot. I read earlier in the week that people said that Geno Smith isn't having the same year that he had last year, and that was like a once in a lifetime. He caught lightning in a bottle.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Him. You know, but I'm curious to see. Actually, I got to be honest with you. I'm curious to see what happens with Seattle after this year. Do they keep Jamal Adams? Do they keep Geno Smith?
Yeah.
What happens to that team? What Pete Carroll? What
7 years old. Yeah.
you know? What do they give it one more go round? Do they try to rebuild? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a lot of questions to be answered there. The best game of the day looks to me to be Bills and Dolphins Sunday night. That's for the division. I think
It is
the
a night game, right?
Yeah, I believe that. So last game on the schedule, I believe it's a night game. And to me, Jeff, that should be a fun game. The only problem I think is the Dolphins are so decimated right now. I don't give them much chance to win this game. But listen, the Bills have been up and down all year, and I think there's a chance they go out and win this game. Where is this game? This game is in Miami, so that bodes well for the Dolphins. But if I was betting in this game, which I'm not, I got to be honest with you, I think I would go with the Bills in this one. I just think the Dolphins are just too hurt.
Yeah, listen, I hear you. And with Tyreek falling behind with his fire insurance payments this year, he has a lot on his mind.
Yes, he does. Tyreek's he didn't get home fast enough to put out the fire. That's for sure.
No. And I got to ask a question.
Sure.
What is your feelings with his house going on fire? Supposedly, a kid started the fire with matches, which I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that the kid was like autistic or something.
Oh, I did not hear the story. I'll be honest with you. I know a kid.
I believe that's what I heard. But bottom line is that this Tyreek in 6 months, is he answering questions why another kid in his household has a broken arm?
I got to be honest with you. It does not bode well for the household that if a young autistic child started a fire in the house, you definitely got to start asking questions. And with a little bit of history there, boy, I got to tell you, that is an odd thing. And let's see what comes to light of that. But the playoffs are around the corner. Next Thursday night, we will devote a lot of time to the playoffs. We'll make our picks through the playoffs. For it, we'll talk a little bit more about the holograms, hopefully, and all that good stuff. But for this week, we're going to end the show right here. It's 7 minutes after 9, and I got to get some sleep, so I want to wrap the show right up here. But Jeff, it's been a great show. Frankie and Adam and the gang did a great job. Thanks to my dad. And as always, it's been a blast doing this, man. It's start of another year, Jeff, 2024, and we're still here going strong.
Yeah, there you go.
Couple of old guys hanging in there. Anyway, yeah, we got the Ramoran show January 19th at Mother Pugs.
Mhm.
Jeff, John, and Chris will be donning the costumes, doing the whole thing. I don't know if they're opening, closing, middle of the pack. Catch you later, Adam. Have a great week. But the boys will be out there doing their thing. Exact, I believe, is you guys will be playing with.
Yeah, band I used to play with, Lou Toro's band.
Yep. Yeah, Lou contacted me. I told him I would do my best to be out there next week. So, but I think everybody should get down to Mother Pugs next Saturday night. Not next Saturday, 2 weeks. Sorry, guys. January 19th. Next week's the 12th. I'll get down there on the 19th. Mother Pugs right on Forest Avenue. Catch Jeff, John, and Chris doing their thing. Thanks, Chris. We appreciate that. In a gay way could hurt, so we will take. We like it better that way. I'm going to put up a lot of pictures and some videos next week from our big reunion, so everybody can catch it. But check them out online, Johnny. Bobby Peck just
took some good pictures. He's got videos too.
He did take videos. I was promised videos. I'm holding out. Most of the videos are probably out there already with what Chris Salazar did. But whatever I get out of the guy, I will definitely get them up there. But I made sure today everybody got all the photos. So I hope you guys enjoy and print them out. I'm going to print out a few of them, and I'm going to hang them on my walls here.
I got to get in touch with Pete Bagley and get his email address. Were you able to get him the pictures?
I did not, but if you do me that favor, you reach out to Chris and get to Pete and get his email address. I'll be happy to. You can forward it yourself, but if you need me to, I can certainly do that. So, but I will post a bunch of them online, and I made sure. Just Dick Collins and Chris Salazar are the only ones who haven't gotten them yet. Everybody else has responded and got pictures. So I hope you guys enjoy them. It's a great memory. Ronnie Morms, I got to call Ronnie Morms on it. So, and that's it. So again, Jeff, I'll give you the last word. Huh?
Are we going down there to jam with him or what?
I am still waiting to hear from Jimmy to find out. I would say I'd like to do it with Jimmy. So if it's a matter of waiting in a week or two to do it with Jim, I would say we'd do that. If Jimmy says he's not interested at all, then I think we go. I'll reach out to Jimmy tomorrow, and then we'll send out a message to Ronnie and you, and we'll come up with a kind of a set list, make sure we're prepared to play, and we'll go wing it.
I'm ready to go. Look, Chris is off tomorrow. I guess all retired people are off tomorrow, huh, Chris?
Yeah, I wish we all had that feeling. Anyway, listen, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. It's been a blast. For Jeff and myself, I can't say thank you enough for sitting there with us through the years, and hopefully we'll continue along into the future. But for now, we'll end this by saying thank you guys for tuning in today. Thanks to my dad and everybody who tuned in along the way. We want you to have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great next week when we see Jeff and I see you back here next Thursday night on the Hard Rocket Sports Show. So for Jeff Tomwinski, myself, and everybody here at Hard Rocket Sports, have a great week. Jeff, I'll talk to you off the air, pal.
You got it, man.
See you. Good night, everybody.
Later.